Okay, check this out, man. Before we get into today's amped up Friday, the 29th of August of the year 2025, a huge congratulations to Brandi and Cody Rhodes. They just announced the birth of their second daughter, Leilani Runnels. Damn, I didn't even know they were pregnant, man. I didn't know Brandi kept it pretty secret. Cody kept it under wraps. I thought Cody Rhodes was written off TV to film like a movie, Street Fighter, something like that. And maybe he still is. But it's pretty clear that, his girl was about to pop, so he had to be home. Brandi was not going to allow Cody to be playing around with Jonathan Cena on national TV while she's at home doing pregnant things. So congratulations, man. The second daughter for the Runnels family. And who knows, maybe in the future, Leilani Runnels will become Leilani Rhodes. Right? Keep the generations going in that ring. Salute, man. The first salute goes to Cody and Brandi. Congratulations. I don't think you're going to be seeing Cody Rhodes on SmackDown tonight. Probably a bit more important. Congratulations, Brandi, Cody. Pretty cool. Hey, did you guys hear speaking of daughter, AJ Lee recently put out a funny post. CM Punk and Roxanne Perez, Roxy, are on tour right now, I think like the UK. And Roxanne Perez delivered a Pop Rocks to CM Punk to try to get Dominic Mysterio a pinfall victory. It backfired, and moments later, CM Punk hit GTS. CM Punk was victorious. But just seeing CM Punk get a Pop Rocks via Roxanne Perez, I thought that was pretty funny. And AJ Lee did as well. AJ posted this: "My daughter has never done anything wrong in her entire life." End quote. My daughter has never done anything wrong in her entire life. So if you don't know, guys, her daughter is Roxanne Perez. For some reason, that's the dynamic that CM Punk, AJ Lee, and Roxanne Perez have with one another. They just have some fun. It's not their real daughter, obviously, for anybody questioning that. But CM Punk has always taken to Roxy. That's like right in his wheelhouse. He loves that Spitfire, that pint-sized powerhouse. It's a splitting image of AJ Lee, Roxanne Perez. So CM Punk was always drawn to Roxanne. Perez was always a huge fan of AJ Lee and CM Punk, so she was obviously drawn to Punk. And so they have a really close relationship backstage. It could have went awkward, and AJ Lee, this whole thing could have been awkward. But instead, they poured water on the fire instantly, and they have this family dynamic. Nothing could ever come from this because that is daughter. So that pretty much set everybody at ease, right? All right, they're really close, but AJ's got nothing to worry about because that's their daughter. Daughter, in quotes. So they have this weird daughter dynamic. Roxanne's the daughter of AJ and CM Punk. So AJ Lee, every time Roxanne Perez is mean to Punk or delivers now a Pop Rocks, AJ Lee always takes to social media and she defends what Roxanne does. So I thought that was interesting to pass along to you guys. Hey, man, you never know. Relationships start up on the road. They really do. It happens all the time. I mean, there's a lot of relationships right now in WWE that started on the road. AJ and CM Punk, man. That was started on the road. Kaiser and Tiffany Stratton. You had, who was it just recently? Charlotte Flair and Andrade. Was it Andrade? Andrade, I think so. They split up. But what? Take it a step further, right? When somebody gets injured in the relationship and they're out for a while, or they're on hiatus, and their significant other stays on the road, guys, when the significant other is home for a while and that other person is on the road, things happen. Feelings are created out of thin air. A little bit of loneliness, maybe, who knows? And before you know it, Sable is sleeping with Brock Lesnar and Mark Marrow is like, but we have kids at home. That's a true story. I bring that up because I just heard Mark Marrow cut an interview. He doesn't do too many. But Mark Mero recently cut an interview, and he was talking about that. Like when he found out that Sable was screwing Brock Lesnar on the road. By the way, none of this has anything to do with today's topics. I'm just... Coffee's flowing and all these things are just kind of coming to mind, and that's the best thing about having my own show, my own podcast. I could talk about whatever I want. I can stay here for 4, 5, 6 hours if I want. Can't go too much longer. I do have other things to do before SmackDown, but but at least hours. I could talk for hours. But no, that's a true story though. Mark Mero found out by just like saw it on her phone or something. There was like a missed call or missed message. And he overheard it, and it was Brock apologizing for like the night before or something like that. So when Mero went to say, hey, what is all this about? Sable just said, I want a divorce. And then it was not long after he found out that she was screwing Brock Lesnar. So Mero told a funny story. He's like, usually the first instinct is, who is this? I'm going to knock him out. Right? And then you find out it's Brock Lesnar and you're Mark Mero, and it's like, well, good luck. You might want to just give the divorce. But at least for Mero, right? At least for Mero, you have to think, at least it was an alpha, right? You could even say more alpha than even Mero. It would suck if it was like you found out Sable was screwing JBL, right? Now you're like pissed off. John Bradshaw Layfield? But when you find out it's Brock Lesnar, it's kind of like, oh, fuck, man. How do you compete with that? If you're Mark Mero, I'm trying to make lemonade out of a 3-month-old lemon. That happened to Edge and, Matt Hardy and Lita. Matt was like injured or on hiatus or something. Lita stayed on the road, and Lita started up a thing with Adam Copeland, Edge. And Matt Hardy found out, and that became a massive issue. Man. Yeah, it happens often, unfortunately. I remember Chris Candido. You guys remember him and Sonny. And this was sad because Chris wasn't even off the road. Chris was on the road, and Sonny was having a fling with Shawn Michaels while Candido was on the road with them. The heck brought up... What are we even talking... Oh, yeah. AJ Lee talking about her daughter delivering Pop Rocks to CM Punk on this tour. It just has a lot of people have been talking kind of how close Roxy and Punk are. I really don't think nothing of it. Punk is drawn to any women anyway. That's why CM is chick magnet, I believe is one of the... That's what he said. He says it means a lot of things, but chick magnet is the original meaning. It's because he was always a flirt. He was always talking to the girls. And that little pint-sized powerhouse, like AJ Lee, Roxanne, Perez, that's who he's really drawn to. Perez is a huge fan of Punk and AJ Lee, so they were going to be really close no matter what. But the fact that they're keeping this as a father-daughter thing, I don't think anybody's got to worry about AJ Lee getting a broken heart in the future. And we can all just enjoy Roxanne Perez delivering Pop Rocks to CM Punk. That was pretty funny. AJ Lee having fun with it. It's always fun or good to talk AJ Lee on this channel because we love AJ Lee on this channel. And it's sad that for years and years we have not gotten a chance to see AJ Lee because she keeps in phenomenal shape. She stays ready. She does not have to get ready. If they want her in a Royal Rumble or to have a 30-minute WrestleMania match, she don't have to get ready. She stays ready. So, but, it's just, she chose to stay away. It's not even a neck injury or anything like that that's keeping her away, guys. It's just timing, and she just doesn't feel like right now is it. She never shied away from saying that was the last time you're going to see her. And I say this, I've said it once, I've said it a million times. You're going to see AJ Lee back in WWE eventually. 1 match, 12 matches, I don't know. You'll see her back. All right, then. Well, that was about 2 hours before we even get to the actual content of the show. So should I tell you what is on the show today? Maybe we should start off with that. This is so off the rails, man. So off the rails. You know what? I have more, too, before I get to today's show. NXT's rating is in 615K, down from, what were they at? 665, something like that. They lost about 50,000, if not more, from the week previous. So they're at 615. They have no wiggle room. If they lose 16,000 next week, they're back in the 500s. AEW, 585 up front, TNT TBS status. If you add in their max numbers, the only thing we can conclude is about 40 to 45. So the most I'm going to give you, if you add in max, AEW scored 600 and about 40,000 viewers. So that would equal 25,000 more than NXT got. If you take max out of the equation, again, 585 for TBS AEW. 585 to NXT 615. Both brands, both companies are really struggling right now to not just get viewership, but to maintain it. But for AEW, I will say this, that's a slight increase because the week previous, they were lower than 585. Man, I don't have the number in front of me, but I want to say maybe 560 some odd. So I know it's little, but at least they're going in the right direction. NXT went backwards, and because of that, they're pretty much neck and neck again. All right. Now, let's talk about what we are going to discuss in today's Amped Up. This is a big Amped Up Friday. The weekend is getting kickstarted for Clash in Paris, which is Sunday, not Saturday. I know WWE's been running a lot of Saturday shows, but it's actually Sunday. And because they're in Paris, for a lot of us, I think that's going to be the afternoon. I have to check. That just dawned on me, actually. Thanks a lot, team. Nobody preps BC. I'm thinking it's going to be Sunday evening that we have to do the Clash in Paris. It's most likely going to be the afternoon. So anyway, big weekend. You got SmackDown tonight. Again, I don't think Cody Rhodes is going to be there. He just had a kid. Brandi had that. They had a kid. We can say they, right? They had a kid. They had a kid. So I don't think you're going to see Cody. I don't know what you're going to see. It's SmackDown. I don't think we're going to see much. But you're going to get a lot on today's Amped Up. I tell you that much, man. We are going to discuss Meltzer. David Meltzer is asking the question of why AEW didn't do this one thing when WWE countered them for All Out next month. And they're going to put WrestlePalooza up against All Out. And Meltzer is asking this one question, to which BC is like, are you kidding me? What? If the bully is asking for your lunch money, the one thing you do not do is give your lunch money. So what's Meltzer questioning that AEW or Tony Khan did not do? And why is BC saying, because never in a billion light years should they be doing that? We'll talk about it. I'll tell you what Meltzer's questioning and why I am damn glad Tony Khan didn't budge. We're also going to talk Tony Khan talking Chris Jericho. He's opening up and discussing Chris Jericho going to WWE and his thoughts and what's his status with AEW. And Tony Khan says something very interesting, and he said it twice. And this has BC going, wait a second. This contradicts what we just found out last week, or at least what we heard. And what Tony Khan said, and he said it twice, this is very alarming, or at least really telling with the contract of Chris Jericho. What are we talking about? Gotta wait. That's coming up in today's episode. And we're going to talk Sadie's 10 belts. Mercedes Moné taking public her desire to win her 10th title. And the wrestling community is up in arms. No! It's ruining wrestling. It's ruining AEW. Is it, though? If you're new to the channel, this is probably a good time to tell you that this channel was founded upon two pro wrestlers, Bray Wyatt, Sasha Banks. Fortunately, we no longer have Bray Wyatt, but we'll always have those memories. And we don't really have Sasha Banks either, but we have Mercedes Moné. And to this day, she's one of, if not the best professional wrestler for females. So, yeah, if you're newer to the channel, we absolutely look at Mercedes Moné for what she is. Absolutely incredible. So for the wrestling world to be absolutely up in arms and pissed off and saying Sadie's is helping to ruin AEW, how do you figure? You can talk about her booking. You can talk about her mic skills. You could talk about what it's doing for anybody, but if you do, you better put every single other female on that roster in the same sentence. I'll expand on what I am speaking on. We're going to talk about what Sadie's has stated and why everybody's upset and why BC is putting water on all the flames. Relax. RELAX. AEW, like all of these companies, including your precious World Wrestling Entertainment, has a million problems. Mercedes Moné ain't one of them. It's all coming up on this amped up Friday, August 29, 2025. So, Meltsy Boy, in case you're wondering, BC, why are we even talking Meltzer? We don't do that on this channel because it's a good conversation to have. It's a good discussion. And it's just a microcosm of the grander picture because it's a discussion that a lot of individuals, a lot of fans, no matter the age range, it could be at the water fountain at school or the water cooler at work. But this is a conversation that's going to be had, right? AEW should have moved nights, man. If WrestlePalooza's coming around or anything with WWE, you just got to move. Or at least move time slots, right? Go to the afternoon. And Meltzer is now questioning that, right? Questioning why Tony Khan didn't move All Out. Or at least the time of it. Move it to the afternoon. Because business-wise, right? You could try to get more of a buy rate. And at the end of the day, that's what this is. Business. Most revenue. But you have to remember something. If you're in it for the long run, sometimes you're going to have to take those financial hits. It's going to happen. Everything, especially when you're just starting your company, can't be a quick money grab. You have to establish yourself. And when I say establish yourself, not with your audience, but within your competitors in your field or your craft. In this case, AEW is a professional wrestling organization / company. Well, WWE is too. You could say they're entertainment or they're this or they're that. I hear you. But that's their field. Now, they chose a night well in advance, way before WrestlePalooza was announced and way before a September 20th event for WWE was even in the works. AEW had scouted this day, this night, and AEW had announced their event. In the whole year, WWE has been counter-programming. We call it cock-blocking. AEW. And this, of course, is to make sure that the talk in the pro wrestling world is on WWE or their NXT brand. And if they can split AEW's audience even just a little bit, 20, 30%, that's less people watching their product. Less people that watch the pay-per-view probably ain't going to care about the dynamites and the collisions. And sure enough, ratings reflect that. So WWE, this is their new strategy. So they would love nothing more if they come in with a WrestlePalooza and Tony Khan and AEW go, well, you know what? We're not taking on the Giant. We're sorry that we even chose this night well in advance. We're going to back off. We're going to actually go to next Sunday. Or we're going to go to 12 or 1 o'clock today. And you guys can have the night shift. You guys can have prime time. And maybe we can get an extra 10,000 buy rate. You can't function that way. Because WWE won't stop there. A bully ain't going to stop at the first time. If you're going to school and there's a bully out there and he's not letting you in the front entrance until you give him $5, what do you think is going to happen when you give him $5? The $5 is going to run out. They're easy pickings. So the next day or the next week or a few days or whatever it is, he's going to be back when he needs $5 and he's going to say, you ain't getting in until you give me another $5. At some point, you got to just go, let's go. Drop the backpack, we rocking out. So don't give the initial $5. WWE is coming in to bully AEW out of the night, and Meltzer's like, why not just move? Meltzer has to understand we are way beyond the extra 10,000 or even 20,000 person buy rate. Tony Khan is not thinking right now about that extra $50,000, $75,000 he might be able to grab. Right now, it's about survival of that organization. And before we even talk about buy rights or ticket sales, he's talking about just being in the space with his fellow competitors. If he bows out now and gets bullied, where do you think that ends? It doesn't matter if it's a double or nothing or a full gear. Wrestle Dream or All In. WWE will be right back there on the same day at the same time slot with its main roster because they already gave them the $5 before. They already poked them right out of their spot before. They'll do it again. We can knock them out again. And does Tony Khan just keep doing it because WWE keeps counter-programming? They started the counter-programming with NXT this year. What we're about to see on September 20th is finally the main roster is now counter-programming AEW. They would love nothing more than to boot Tony Khan right off of that night. So you don't give them that. Dave Meltzer, do you understand that? This is beyond a buy rate. This is standing your ground. You're going to take a hit. They're going to take a hit. There's no question. WrestlePalooza. It's World Wrestling Entertainment. Same night, same... I got you, man. But wow, the optics alone, if Tony Khan bows out and moves nights or moves the time slot to make way for WWE to apologize and say, oh, we're sorry. We were here first. We announced this first, but you're the big bad bully. We're just going to step off. In fact, do you know what Tony Khan has to do? Because you're going to take a hit financially two different ways. A, first and foremost, you're going to take a hit because WWE is putting a pay-per-view premium live. No, pay-per-view now. Listen, ESPN is $30. $30 to have. So you're basically, it's the old school pay-per-view prices. They used to be $20, $25, and then $30. Then they reached $35, $40, $45, $50. But for a long time, they were around $30. Well, that's what you're paying for ESPN. Sports is everything to BC. From my Packers to my Yankees to my Knicks. But I'll be the first I don't need ESPN streaming. I don't. I am consumed by sports. I don't need ESPN. I'll be paying $30 to watch WWE pay-per-views. So yeah, we can call them pay-per-views again because most people are going to be paying $30 a month for this garbage. So they're taking a hit, AEW, because you have all of these people tuning into WrestlePalooza. Most of the wrestling world will be checking out WrestlePalooza in this new ESPN debut over AEW's pay-per-view. So you're taking the financial hit there. But here's what you have to do, because once you stood your ground, you can't just stand there and just because you didn't give the $5 to the bully, just stand there and get punched around. You gotta punch back. Just not giving the $5, that ain't good enough. You start rocking back and you start aiming to crush dude's face. That's what AEW has to do. They have to shell out a boatload of money and bring in some huge draws. And if that means the glass is shattering and Stephen Austin is walking down that ramp, I'm just giving you guys an example by BC. That'll never happen, man. Well, don't say never in pro wrestling, first of all. Money talks. I've seen crazier things than glass shattering in AEW and watching Stone Cold Steve Austin come down that aisleway. Maybe the music would have to be a little altered because maybe the glass shattering is a WWE sole licensed theme. But I know there's many versions, and I know legally you can get around it, and they could do some work. But Steve Austin is not under contract with WWE. And if Tony Khan offered a boatload of money to bring him in for that event, yeah, that's going to turn a lot of heads. A lot of people are going to go, what in the world? Steve Austin has not shut down that he is officially done. He keeps talking about how he does have a Mania match left in him. What if AEW grabbed it, threw millions at him to start something huge? I'm just using that one example, but I'm saying you have to make a massive impact. Punch back. Thankfully for Tony Khan, he does have the money, or his dad. Billions, not millions. I don't care if it's his dad, grandfather, cousin 3 times removed. I don't care. There's a lot of money in the fam. And now you need it. You need to punch back like your entire company's existence is on the line, because your entire company's existence is on the line. You don't just not move the night. You don't move to a different time slot. You stay right there. You buck up and you try to fuck up WrestlePalooza. You're going to get beat no matter what in the numbers. You're just going to. But punch back. Put on the best possible show you can with the best possible matches. Have the best creative in store. The finishes, electric. But have those surprises. One big name should already be pre-announced. Then you have a surprise. And I'm telling you right now, man, you're going to have to bring in the heavy artillery. But when you do, you show WWE we ain't just going to be bullied, son. You come around the neighborhood, you gonna get blasted. These are the dates we picked. We didn't fuck with you. You came looking for trouble. You done fucked around and you found out. That's what AEW has to do. Because Dave Meltzer, what's the other option? Oh, man. WWE's main roster now wants to go head-to-head with us. We got to back out, guys. We got to try to get the extra 10,000 buy rate. Bro, what the fuck is that going to do? Long-term, WWE is telling you they want you out of business. Don't you see what this is all about? They're cock-blocking you every event now. Now it's no longer just NXT. Now they're bringing in the main roster. And your answer is just cower? Okay, sorry. We'll move. Tell me how that ends up. I'd love to know how that works out. You think WWE after this, after they get Tony Khan's lunch money, you think WWE's gonna be like, all right, we'll never go on the same night with you again. You were nice. Pat him on the head. Give him an attaboy. I'm glad Tony Khan ain't moving shit, and I hope that stays that way. There's still several weeks. There could be a time move. There could. I hope not. Just go head to head, man. You're going to take the hit no matter what. That's business. Thankfully, Tony Khan has the money in his family. They can sustain this. And what I say is you shell out even. This is going to be one of those weekends, one of those months where you financially are going to take a hit. You're not going to bring in what you probably could have if WWE wasn't going head to head, and you're probably going to have to shell out millions to get some big name attractions. I don't know who's out there that's not under some type of WWE deal. Some Legends deals you could still rock out. Like even if Steve Austin was on a Legends deal, there's some fine print where you could actually do other endeavors, including wrestling. But I think Undertaker and them are pretty much locked up. Rock is obviously part of TKO, the board. Steve Austin would probably be your best bet. I don't think anybody would give a rat's ass about a Goldberg, but it is a massive name, and people would tune in just to see what he's doing. And I'm sure there's other names. You got to get creative, but you got to bring in a lot of aspects. You got to make people go, you know what? I got to check this out. That's why Meltzer. Just because somebody's coming around asking for your lunch, but you don't give it, dude. Stand up, and you just don't not give it. You get ready to rock out. He takes a swing, you swing even harder. You got to think for the long term. You got to sustain your company within the industry. Don't just cower out just to make a buck here or there. You have to first cement yourself in the industry. You need to be taken serious by all your competitors. You don't do that by running away. What I like to do is stick with the Tony Khan, actually. This story is huge. Chris Jericho, this broke last week. Chris Jericho headed to WWE. Very, very real possibility. What we were hearing is his contract ends in December. And he's already had talks with some suits and ties in WWE. Now that's interesting because that's contract tampering, right? If you're under contract, you can't really be having discussions with another company. And what's the irony here is Chris Jericho is one of the individuals that previously told Tony Khan that WWE was talking with a lot of its wrestlers, including Chris Jericho. So Jericho kind of ratted them out. Tony Khan got pissed and threatened legal action. And that was the real start of Nick Khan, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and a lot of suits and ties at WWE really kind of going to war with Tony Khan. But Khan was upset because he's like, dude, these people are under contract. I'm not doing that to your talent. I got a lot of money I could offer them, but I'm not talking to them in advance. So Tony Khan got pissed off. Chris Jericho kind of leaked that to Tony Khan. So how interesting that now we're hearing that they're once again talking to Jericho and vice versa. But now Jericho's not going to Tony Khan about it. Because I really do believe Jericho is thinking about going to WWE. So Tony Khan says, and I quote, "If and when we can have Chris back, I would love that." I'm going to say that again, and you tell me what's wrong with this picture, because, again, we were under the impression that Jericho's contract ends in December, meaning he is still with AEW for several more months. But Tony Khan says, if and when we can have Chris back, I would love that. If and when? What do you mean if you can? He's under contract with you, and all of this time off, you could easily freeze that and have time added on. We know that AEW has done that. WWE was doing it for years. We thought AEW would never do that because it's one of those situations where if a talent doesn't want to be there, let them go. Right? Otherwise, it's like when WWE was not letting anyone go, and it was like a prison, right? Rusev, Brody Lee, FTR. There was just all of these individuals not happy. And Luke Harper, I should say that because that's he was in WWE. But everybody was like, and they were like voicing their displeasure on social, but nobody, WWE was like, no. But AEW has done that to some of its wrestlers, and I don't blame them at all. WWE or AEW, you know, if you're under contract and you were injured or some type of hiatus, yes, the company would want that time. I also am under the impression, though, that if you really don't want to be somewhere, I would hope the owner can work something out with you so you don't have to be somewhere you don't want to be. Yeah? Makes sense. But Jericho, at least till December, is the contract. So what does he mean? What does Tony Khan mean if and when we can have Chris back? He's making it sound like Jericho's already out of AEW, and they're just kind of, Jericho's like, I just want to spend some time either with fam or with my band Fozzy, and then just some time away. Interesting. Tony Khan, there's like a few paragraphs on Chris Jericho and just a love fest of Jericho and talking about how like Jericho is one of his top 5 pro wrestlers of all time and how he watched Jericho at the 2300 arena where the residency right now is for Dynamite and Collision, correct? AEW's running some shows there, the old ECW arena. And Tony Khan was talking about like his first time there was like Jericho's last match in ECW, something like that. So he went on for a few paragraphs talking about how important Chris Jericho is to AEW and how he and AEW is not there today without Chris Jericho. I mean, he was going heavy. And for those that don't know, I've said this a billion times on this channel, Chris Jericho, Mox, and Bryan Danielson are the 3 locker room leaders of AEW, or at least were. It was not the EVPs. It was not the Young Bucks. It was not Kenny Omega. It was not Cody Rhodes. Chris Jericho, Mox, Bryan Danielson, the big 3 from World Wrestling Entertainment. Those were the locker room leaders. And WWE is not just trying to get Jericho. We're hearing they really want to get Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan back, and as well as Brie Bella. Brie Bella's probably going to be back before Daniel Bryan, if Bryan does return. But Nikki Bella recently stated that WWE is really easing up as of late and bringing in Brie Bella. At first, they just didn't want that connection with Daniel Bryan until they knew they had Daniel Bryan coming back. But Daniel Bryan's been doing some stuff with AEW recently, so maybe they're just like, hey, we get Brie now, we'll think about Bryan later. So Danielson's been, I don't know, that would gut AEW because that's 2/3 of your locker room leaders. That just leaves Mox. Mox is there for over another year contractually, so Mox is going nowhere. But Tony Khan is accurate when he says how important Jericho is. He's a locker room leader. And Jericho knows he can get all the money in the world from Tony Khan. He can get whatever he wants in that organization. Jericho is like royalty in this company. So that brings your question, right? Well, BC, then why do you say there's a good chance he could go to WWE when he could probably make more money in AEW? Or at least have more relevancy, have whatever he wants? This is why. Because Jericho wants that relevancy. He could have all the top spots in AEW, but if it doesn't feel that way, if it's not being talked about as much as something that's going on in WWE, Jericho doesn't like that. So if we're using that R word, relevancy, WWE could be where he looks to. Look what happened to Cody Rhodes. Cody had the world in AEW in many different facets. But it wasn't until he went over to WWE and started doing a lot of those things where he was headlining most conversations. So my point is, some of the things you can do in AEW and probably at a higher level, the same things if you were to do them in WWE, they will be talked about tenfold. The relevancy is what Chris Jericho really tries to chase. He is all about reinventing himself and being cool. In the last year in AEW, not so much. He should just retire. He's lost 10 steps. The learning tree is stupid. This, that, and the other thing. Jericho's not really used to that because when they start to sour on Jericho over his career, he would reinvent himself. He'd be cool again. He'd be relevant. This is the first time in his career, and I followed his entire career from his days in WCW to his debut in WWE, Y2J, literally, and all the reinventions of Chris Jericho along the way to AEW. This is the first time for a full year that I've seen Jericho lost and the crowd not caring about him or what he's doing. And it's almost like Jericho doesn't know what to do. And he knew he needed this time away to reinvent himself and to be relevant again. So now he's thinking, can I do that in AEW? Or is the only path to get what I need right now, relevancy and a reinvention, is the only path leading to WWE? That's why I say WWE is possible. I really don't think it's about the money right now or the status in the company for Chris Jericho. Because in AEW, he could have all that. He needs kind of what Cody Rhodes has. Again, not the money or the status that Cody Rhodes has. The relevancy. How everybody's looking, and whether you boo Cody or you cheer him, you love him or you hate him, he's pretty damn relevant. Jericho has been that his whole career. This is the first time, this last year in AEW, where he's just not. And people are even saying, dude, just retire. Dude, this sucks. Dude, nobody cares. So with what Jericho wants right now or needs, is WWE the only option? That's really the question. Because he loves AEW. He loves Tony Khan. But he also knows he's got one really good, solid run left in him. This seems harsh to say, but for Jericho, is he viewing it like, do I waste that in AEW, where it's not going to be as relevant? You know, Adam Copeland is probably asking himself that a lot. He likes Tony Khan, likes AEW, gets a lot of things there that WWE just couldn't offer. But you look at what Cope has been through, what he's putting on the line at his age. The whoopings he's taken, the broken bones, the hiatuses, the injuries. And nobody he feels is really appreciating it. It's not really being talked about. The viewership is down. People are kind of looking past him all the time. Relevancy and reinvention. That's Chris Jericho's main goals right now. If you follow Jericho's career, you know that. Does he feel he's going to get that in WWE? Keep an eye on it, man. But from Chris, what Tony Khan said, if and when we can have Chris back, I would love that. What are you talking about, if and when? If and when? Isn't he with you? This make it sound like he's not with him right now. Jericho could pop up at War Games, at Survivor Series at this point. You guys remember, that was when this story broke last week. While the story was breaking, Jericho posted up his return at that Rumble. It was one of the loudest ovations I've ever heard for Jericho. And I'm talking right there, even with the Jericho debut in WWF, that segment he had with The Rock. But that ovation at the Rumble, I mean, it was just the right moment. He was like number 1 or 2. I think he was number 2, right? So the entry, everything about it, man, it was just like, whoa, it was a true surprise. Nobody knew. And he posted that while this, so no matter how much he loves Tony Khan, no matter how much he loves it at AEW, he is showing you that, listen, if WWE is where I need to be to reinvent myself and to be relevant again, I will not hesitate. Jericho had no problem adding fuel to that fire when this story broke last week. Let's move on, man. Sadie's 10 belts, right? Or as Mercedes calls it, 10 belts Moné. Currently 9 belts Moné. But BC calls this Sadie's 10 belts. That's the quest. And Mercedes this past Wednesday on Dynamite laid down that quest publicly. She said that her goal is to collect her 10th title and counting. Sadie's 10 belts. Now, of course, this sent a lot of the community, a lot of people watching AEW into a frenzy. Because Mercedes is just easy to not like, right? Because she's so damn good at what she does. Nobody likes that person, right? If you work with somebody who's always getting Employee of the Month and they're just so damn good and they're talented and it may be attractive and they're kick-ass and everything they do just seems seamless. It's like they're not even trying. They're so good. It's easy not to like that person, right? That's Mercedes. That's Mercedes Moné. She's everybody's greatest match, or at least top 3. At least. So that's called a common denominator in pro wrestling, right? When you're everybody's greatest match, or at least one of, you're the common denominator. You're the best of the best. Ric Flair just said that about Shawn Michaels. A recent post. I just saw this actually earlier this morning. Ric Flair thanking Shawn Michaels. I don't even know what the post was about. Oops, I don't know. I'll put that up for you guys. But he was like bringing up Shawn Michaels and talking about how... Now, this is Ric Flair. He's been in the ring with everybody. From a Hulk Hogan to a Ricky Steamboat and anybody in between. An Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, a Bret Hart, a Tatanka. You think he's been in there with Tatanka? I don't know. I don't know. That'd be fun. Him and Big Boss Man. But he's been in the ring with everybody. And Ric Flair says the best wrestler in the world is Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels. I think Ric Flair knows what he's talking about. What do I say all the time on this show? I say it all the time on Amped Up. When talking about this topic. And Shawn Michaels was never one of BC's favorite wrestlers. Trust me. I always dug him. Always loved Shawn Michaels' work. My favorite wrestling match of all time is WrestleMania 25, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. But not one of my, I don't put him up there with my Hogans and my Warriors and my Savages or my Stone Colds. No. But he's the best wrestler ever on the planet. BC has told you that a billion times, but I based it on facts. BC, you said it's not even one of your favorite wrestlers, but you're saying he's the best of all time. Yes, because I'm honest on this channel. It doesn't have to be my favorite, right? Ultimate Warrior is one of my favorites. I know he's not one of the best wrestlers. Like, actual skill, guys, in putting on, like, amazing matchups. No, I have to be honest on this show, or I choose to be. It's Shawn Michaels. But you don't have to just take BC's word for it. Ric Flair will tell you that. If you're one of those people that has your head up Hunter Hearst Helmsley ass, well, guess what? Hunter Hearst Helmsley will tell you that. And if he tries to say Ric Flair will see you to Shawn Michaels. Thank you, Hunter, but it's Michaels. It's Shawn Michaels factually. That's not an opinion. Otherwise, I'd love to give you a different take in somebody else, but it's Shawn Michaels. Why? Because Shawn Michaels was the common denominator in everybody's best match, or at least one of top three for basically everybody. Doesn't matter if it was Ric Flair, Kurt Angle, Helmsley, Undertaker, Bret Hart. He had a damn good match with Hulk Hogan, didn't he? Or was that the tag match when they won the tag? Hulk Hogan was like 145 years old at that time, and Shawn Michaels was rocking with him to make that relevant. That's what Shawn Michaels, I don't think he's capable of having a bad match. I still remember his last match. He was about 112 years old, completely bald. Shawn Michaels. It's hard to believe, but he did. He was paid a lot of money. They begged him to come to Saudi and have this match with, I think it was Kane and Undertaker. And it was one of the rare bad matches that Michaels had. And it wasn't even, Michaels was doing moonsaults at his age, completely bald. And he's like, dude, I'm going out there to put on a show. But Helmsley was injured. Helmsley was older too. Helmsley was injured in the first 2 minutes. So Helmsley's wrestling the match with like a blown quad or half an arm, something like that. Kane and Undertaker were not on all cylinders. It was just a mess. It was a mess. And Michaels knew, man, he should have stayed retired with the Undertaker match. He knew, and that's not Shawn Michaels-esque. So he vowed in that moment, it didn't matter the money, it didn't matter how much the company begs him. He's done. Because that's not his performance. And you can't even blame him for that match. But that's how the great ones are, the GOATs. Everybody he wrestled, you're coming up with an amazing match. That was Shawn Michaels, man. Now you flip to the ladies. Who do you have to say that? There's only one female. You can't stand Mercedes. That's your prerogative, man. You have your reasons why. Insufferable. I can't stand her on the mic. She sucks on the mic. She's not as good as she says she. All of this stuff. But the fact is still there, right? That's how you feel. That's fine. The fact says that Mercedes is the best female wrestler on the planet right now because she's everybody's best match. Bayley, a couple of times. Charlie Flair, several times. Becky Lynch in different ways. Hell in a Cell with Becky Lynch. Go back and watch that one. And Io and Asuka. A tiny Zelina. It doesn't matter. How is one person having everybody's best match, or at least one of? How is this happening? Maybe they're just really, really good at what they do. That's Mercedes. So let's fast forward, right? Mercedes' gimmick is, I'm collecting titles because I'm really good, right? That's the gimmick. I'm really good, so I'm collecting all these titles around the world. How is that harming AEW, right? When it's all said and done, the main title, because she does not hold the main title. Toni Storm does. And when they faced each other weeks ago, it was Toni Storm defeating Mercedes Moné. So the whole story of her collecting all these titles, and she's running into Toni Storm, and it's Toni Storm with that ultimate W, and it's Toni Storm hoisting up that championship. You got that moment, and people cared about that match a little bit more than another match or any other women match because of how Mercedes' trajectory was. So even though you think, okay, Tony's definitely winning this, but, I mean, look at what Mercedes' gimmick is and look at what she's doing. There's a chance Sadie's walks away. And that's why there was extra anticipation into that match. You don't get that unless you establish Mercedes as such. And there was no harm, no foul, because when it was said and done, Toni Storm hoisted up the title. Toni Storm beat Mercedes. And now Mercedes is just saving face. Afterwards, she's still collecting titles so she doesn't lose after losing to Tony. Hopefully that makes sense. You have to have some type of victory and defeat is what I'm saying. You have to save face, even if you're a heel. So this is the way they're doing it. Who is this hurting? All these titles you've never heard from before, a lot of them. The bingo hall down the street, Mercedes won the title. How is this harming AEW? So then you say, well, she's running through everybody. She should. She's the best. Who, honestly, is taking out Mercedes Moné on a random Dynamite or at a Full Gear or an All-In? Jamie Hayter was not beating Mercedes, nor should she. So who is supposed to be more relevant? Willow Nightingale? Sky Blue or Sky Red? Sky Teal? Penelope Ford? Maybe a little bit of Megan Bayne? Maybe bring back Saraya, even though she's lost 12 or 13 steps, and it doesn't seem like her mind and heart are really in it anymore. But bring back Saraya. Who? We're supposed to act like Mercedes isn't the best? Toni Storm has the main title. Mercedes is not harming anything on AEW right now. I'm this fake outrage. You cannot like the booking of her. That's fine. The gimmick of somebody in the booking is different. The gimmick is Sadie's 10 belts. Right now, Sadie's 9 belts. The booking, absolutely. But you could say that in every company for most wrestlers, right? WWE, Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, NXT. Right, the booking sucks across the board. That's why one of the biggest reasons wrestling is hurting right now. The booking for everybody sucks. So if you're going to say that about Moné, then what is Willow doing to make you the next day go, did you guys see Willow's segment? Nobody's talking about Willow Nightingale. Nobody's talking about what Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne are doing, or Kristen Statlander. Athena is relevant and being talked about. Toni Storm is. So there's other females. But when Mercedes is on TV, you're talking about 10 titles that most of the wrestling community have never even heard of. It's absolute rage. It's outrage. It is so tiresome, and why are they doing this? Bro, you've never heard of these titles. What do you mean she's running through the company? No, she's not. Her biggest match in the company, she just lost to Toni Storm. She's tagging up with one of the other greatest wrestlers on the planet, I feel. Just never got her... She never got her time in WWE or so far in AEW. Now she finally is, and that's Athena. Ember Moon, formerly known as. But she's tagging up with her, so that's going to only elevate Athena's status. But who is she running through? A bunch of wrestlers that absolutely Mercedes should be beating. So if you're in there putting on the performance that they're capable of putting on, they're going to benefit from the loss. But I don't know what people want. You want Willow beating her on Dynamite? Do you want Jamie Hayter beating her? Do you want Penelope Ford beating her? Megan Bayne drop her on her head? Alex Windsor? You're acting like Mercedes Moné is what Dana Brooke was back in WWE, or Eva Marie. I hear you on the booking. And if you want to say Mercedes isn't great on the mic, well, most females are not. Most pro wrestlers are not great on the microphone. They're not. Most pro wrestlers are not great on the microphone. It's just the way it is. It sucks. It's not like it was back in the day, man. Or Roddy Piper would captivate you for 15 minutes. Or Savage, Ric Flair. It's not like that anymore. Most pro wrestlers now, they get on the stick and they put you to sleep. But that's what I'm saying. You take away Toni Storm and maybe one other. None of the females in AEW are captivating you with their words on the stick. So the bottom line is just don't get it. The gimmick is fine, man. Sadie's 10 belts because she's the best wrestler in the world. The company literally, their tagline is, this is where the best wrestle. That's their tagline, man. That's their motto. That's their shtick. This is where the best wrestle. Mercedes' whole thing is, I'm the best. So she's collecting titles. What the fuck does it matter? The gimmick is fine. Her beating women in AEW left and right. Yes, because nobody should be beating her. Unless it's Toni Storm at a moment like that. And if AEW wants another lady to do that, build them correctly. But don't blame Mercedes because AEW is not doing such. Because you can't have it both ways. You're seeing too much Mercedes when she's on every other Dynamite for 4 minutes. And then when she's not on Dynamite, where's Sadie's, man? She doesn't even show up. You don't want her there. You want her there longer. Which is it? It's an easy scapegoat. That's what Mercedes Moné is. Just like Sasha Banks in WWE. Easy scapegoat. She's so damn good that it's easy to trash. And people just hate winners. They hate when there's what they call them in sports, right? A dynasty. The Yankees were such. The Chiefs almost became one. Cowboys almost became, or Cowboys kind of were, right? But when you win championships consecutively, you become a dynasty. And people tend to go against that after a while because you're such a winning machine. They now want to see you get beat. So I understand that's where we are with Mercedes. But I think people are mixing up booking and gimmick. Gimmick is absolutely fine. Booking, absolutely, across the board for all companies and all wrestlers needs to be better. But it's hilarious to come off of a Dynamite and hear everybody cry that Mercedes Moné is bringing the show down. No, she's not. There's 100 things bringing these shows down. Mercedes' gimmick is the only thing worth talking about. And with that said, that is your amped up Friday, the 29th of August of the year 2025. I told you, man, we're going to be packed, jacked, and stacked. Guys, we're going into the weekend. We got SmackDown tonight, so that means you guys are getting an amplified review over the next 24 hours. Make sure you stay locked on the channel. And I hope to do something big for Clash in Paris. Does that involve a live stream or two? It's quite possible. So make sure you are subscribed. I don't know if that'll be channel member or... I don't know. Or maybe one of them would be just for channel. I don't know. Make sure you're a channel member. Always appreciate you guys. Membership should be somewhere down below. So join or earn that gold card and then eventually your diamond card and then your VIP coffee club. I just had a moment of thinking that's almost coming to the next year, right? A lot of you guys are about to go to the next level. What's beyond the coffee club? You're going to find out within the next month. So for my channel members that have been down from day one, wait till you see what we got in store. But at the bare minimum, you should be subscribed because all live streams this weekend you'll have to at least be subscribed for a period of time. That's for sure. If you want to be chatting and saying what's up to the unit. All right, that's what I got for you, man, on this amped up. Again, SmackDown's review will be next, and then Clash in Paris coverage, man. There's only one channel you need to stay locked on to for all the latest. It's the Amplified, man, and the Amplified channel with the Amplified unit. Until next time, and there will be that next time. 44 Dive, that's a wrap. BC saying check you, unit, salute.